All right, mates, welcome back to the channel. JL Scott Fishing. Hope everybody is doing well. Well, that day has come, and wouldn't you know it, on the same day, I get the old bass renewal. The Bassmaster St. Croix Opens presented by Mossy Oak Fishing schedule drops for 2023. And I gotta say, I get it. I get it. Don't like it. Don't like the schedule. Don't like the schedule from, I don't know. I've already talked to 3 people already. No one likes the schedule. But, again, not part of that process. People aren't part of that process. Anglers probably, I don't know if anglers are really part of that process, and who are we? Bass has got their own thing that they got to do. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who like the schedule, who actually like the schedule. Again, it's very, very, I think it's getting tougher and tougher. In fairness, I think I understand where Bass is coming from, just being, following Bass for 30 plus years and understanding that it's hard to put now, with the innovation that we've got in these boats now, and the capacity of these boats, the size of these boats, the horsepower now of what these boats are running, to put 225 to 250 boats on a body of water is a challenge for any organization. As much as I'm disappointed in the schedule, I'm disappointed in the schedule for selfish reasons, not for bass reasons. And that's how, as fans and co-anglers fans and also, boaters, with that next step, in terms of Bassmaster Opens, as boaters make their way up in bass, it's just a hard thing to swallow, especially if you're, mates, I'm from the Mid-Atlantic. I grew up in Virginia. You guys know that. When I look at now where these guys are going to have to go, guys I know that compete in BFLs, guys I know that compete in the Opens, how far they're going to have to travel now. Because remember, you have to compete in all events in order to qualify for that Opens EQ, right? The elite qualifiers. You got to fish them all. So you will know what the entrance fee is, and we know how much it's going to cost for anglers to do that and for traveling throughout the country. So you basically have 3 divisions for 2023. Okay? It's kind of what they're calling them now, divisions 1, 2, and 3, as opposed to central, southern, northern. What I think a lot of people are used to. And we are, in my region, considered Division 3, I guess. And it's a shocker to me when you look at the schedule. So for Division 3, the 3 events for the what I consider to be the Northern Open, okay, for Division 3. Bugs Island, Clarksville, Virginia on May 3rd through 5th. Remember, again, when we talk about 225 boats, it's 3 days, mates, okay? So remember that. So when we look at these bodies of water, there's a lot of great body of water out there. But how many bodies of water can sustain 225 bass boats and anglers for 3 days? It's not just the size of the lake. It's the fish population, the catch rates, all that analytics that go into them determining these things. And a lot of people, we don't really think about that kind of stuff. I do, because I'm a metrics guy, so I totally get it. In terms of they want the lake to be geographically larger to sustain the of 225, plus the recreation, plus everything else that's going to be going on. It's not just them on the water for those 3 days, right? And so you've got Bugs Island, which is pretty big, okay? Then in July 20th to the 22nd, they head north all the way to the St. Lawrence River. Okay, so that's on Lake Ontario, St. Lawrence River, I would imagine. a lot of water. We know how the St. Lawrence was this year, so you can't find any fault in that. It kind of fits the purpose of massive catch rates, massive size, competition drama, and can sustain the boats, right? And then in September, it finishes up Division 3 Watts Bar, okay, which is pretty big. So you kind of getting the idea here, right? With the, so that's Division 3. So that's pretty much the people that that I know around here in my region, that I follow, that I see see at the ramp, that I follow on social media. And I can tell you already, there's a lot of like, where's the James River at, right? Unbelievable fishery. So where's the Potomac River at? Unbelievable fishery. So when you're looking at these things selfishly, like I'm doing, admittedly, my region, it's void of the places that have realistically have been on fire for the last 2 years. And so it's disappointing. Not to take anything away from Bugs Island, okay, and that part of down in Virginia, North Carolina, but it's not the James River, it's not the Potomac River, not even close, in my opinion. But lots of people fish there. There's lots of fish. It's like Smith Mountain Lake, lots of fish, and you just kind of have to accept it, move on. Not happy with it, okay? So now let's move to Division 2. Now, Division 1 and Division 2 are kind of interesting, and it fills the same narrative here about lakes, okay, absorbing the number of boats. Division 1, and to kick the season off, Division 1, March 2nd through the 4th, Lake Eufaula, okay? Then on the 18th of May, Wheeler, okay? Both in Alabama. October 12th, Harris Chain of Lakes, Florida, in October. Interesting. So you have two events in the same state. Kudos to the Alabama boys. I mean, right? Like, they don't have to travel far. Like, I mean, realistically, if you look at Division 1 compared to Division 3, I mean, they are going to Florida. For sure. But, again, Wheeler and Eufaula, both in Alabama. Okay? Division 2 starts in April. Okay? So you can kind of see how these are staggered. Division 1 started in March. Division 2 starts in April. Division 3 starts in May. Okay? And the reason for that is they anticipate the anglers having to fish all of these bodies of water. So we'll break down the order in a minute. Toledo Bend makes perfect sense. There's not, believe it or not, as big as Texas is, there's probably really not that many lakes anymore. They can sustain 225 to 250 boats for 3 days. And I say that because of drawdowns in water levels, not because of size. And you've got to remember, some of these lakes, Chickamauga comes to mind. Fish small, okay, for boats, for boaters. They may fish big for kayakers, but they fish small for boaters. Chickamauga is one of them, okay, so just keep that in mind. Then June 15th, Lake Eufaula, the Oklahoma Lake Eufaula, okay, and then September 21st through 23rd, Lake of the Ozarks. So there's your 9, okay. So let's look at them in order from start to finish. March 2nd, Lake Eufaula, Alabama. April 13th, down to Toledo Bend. May 3rd, Bugs Island, Clarksville, Virginia. May 18th, Wheeler Lake, Alabama. June 15th. So that's probably almost a month of a break. Lake Eufaula, Oklahoma. So that gives them a little bit of time to get to Oklahoma. Okay, fair enough there. July 20th, St. Lawrence. So they've got a full month from Lake Eufaula, Oklahoma to get to the St. Lawrence River in Waddington, New York from July 20th. After that, you've got September 13th. So you're going from Oklahoma, Lake Eufaula, Oklahoma, to St. Lawrence, New York, back to Watts Bar, Kingston, Tennessee. Then to the Lake of the Ozarks, and then finishing the season in Leesburg, Florida with the Harris Chain events. And those are your 9, Division 1, 2, and 3. For the 2023 Bassmaster St. Croix Opens presented by Mossy Oak Fishing. They're your dates. There's a significant number of fisheries left off this schedule. Can only have 8 or 9, right? Totally get it. And it makes it worse when you don't have a championship. Okay? In that regard. In some of these tournaments when you don't have a last event kind of deal. Or maybe a play-in event, and things like that. So it's just kind of interesting to see that. But overall, I get it. I'm not really excited about this schedule. Myself, personally, co-angling. Looking forward to 2023. Especially after this year. I mean, how awesome the James River was. And I just feel like that fishery's gotten dished mind you, they were there this year, Opens. So there is a possibility that because of how the James River performed, it may be on the elite tour, at some point, right? You don't know, these things have to be planned out years in advance. I don't know. Potomac as well. 2 of the best fisheries in the country being left off. So it kind of begs a lot of questions, and I'm sure there's a lot of other bodies of water across the country that have been left off as well. I mean, Bass just put out its 100 best lakes. It'd be interesting to transjuxtapose. I don't know what the hell that word is. That with the open schedule, and then these schedules, best ranked fisheries in each of the regions, and then look at where actually the events are being scheduled. That's how you know there are other things at play here than just the fish and the lake, in my opinion. And again, that's just my opinion. But for me, obviously, St. Lawrence River in July, that's the one that really stands out for me. There's none that really stand out for being in this part of the country. Maybe Watts Bar in Kingston, but the rest of them, it's not something screaming off the page for excitement to go and co-angle. And I know that, like I said, I've talked to a couple people already this morning. Not very many people were really excited here about just not only the schedule itself, but the trajectory of the schedule throughout the season, and the travel and the expenses and all that associated with trying to qualify, and having to fish all of them. When you don't have that, I don't have that level of commitment. I don't have that. I can just pick 1 or 2. And so I think it's in Division 3, because most of the people that I know fish in Division 3, the old Northern Open. I just never really been a big fan of Bugs Island. I've never really been good there myself. So, and it's been a few years, but but I don't know. In May, we'll see what happens. But definitely the St. Lawrence, I think. They picked that one over something like an Oneida, which is a smaller body of water. So it'll be really interesting. But those are your Division 1, Division 2, and Division 3 2023 Bassmaster Opens. Feel free to leave a comment in this video, comment section, what you think about this schedule. I'll share the schedule, I guess, in the description as well, just to recap the dates for everybody, as well as on Facebook, JL Scott Fishing and Eats. And that's kind of where we're at. I'm kind of bummed. I get it. Again, no angst, no animosity or angst towards bass. I mean, got to put this thing in the mail, or pay online for next year, renewal. But I was just looking forward to a lot different fisheries, given the change. Given the changes to the elite qualifying and all of that, I kind of just expected a little bit more, teeth to this schedule, I guess, and not the familiar. But, it is what it is. Like I said, I understand the boat commitment, 225, 250 boats for 3 days. It is its impact, and it's only going to get worse probably if they expand fields in the future. I don't think you can't really put over 250 boats on very many bodies of water in the country. So provide someone else a little opportunity. I think. I don't know how it'll swing out. I'll be waiting for the BFL schedules to drop for Major League Fishing. That's another opportunity for mates to fish regionally with MLF in that series, both non-boater and co-angler. And so it'll be interesting to kind of see how all the different divisions of BFL stack up into where they're going, because it's probably half the size of the field as an open. So there's a little bit more flexibility there, for sure. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see what that schedule is going to be. Again, I understand Bass is the organization and what they have to do. So wait to see what their Bass's Kayak Series schedule for next year, for that to drop. Some people say they're going to add 1 or 2 events. Others say they're going to keep it the same. So we'll see what that Bass's commitment is to that going forward in 2023. But that is your 2023 Bassmaster Open schedule. So, I just got to process it, absorb it, that schedule, and go from there and get on the phone, talk to a couple guys, and see what's going to happen with, getting some sponsors for some guys, and helping some guys out financially with making their dreams, a reality and fishing the Bassmaster Opens. All right, mates.